Two
What's
different
the
things.
goal? Are we bodybuilding or exercising?
Yeah. Toning. We're gonna tone.
I get
I
tone.
want to get tone. I want to tone my muscles.
I want a
I
fat
don't
ass and I want
or
to go.
I'm not trying to get big or muscular. I just want to get I'm just like, okay, sure, dude.
You accidentally get huge. You
I know.
fucking let me know how you did it.
I know. How's everybody doing? Here's another episode of Paradise Pump. And as usual, we've got Jed and Mel and myself, Mark, on the microphones. And it's nice and humid today in the gym. So we're sweating. It's like a sauna.
Weren't we anticipating another
Yeah.
storm following that last week's storm? And it's nice and
Yeah.
sunny and
Feels
damn
like
humid
it.
today.
It feels like something's coming. I don't know.
You guys remember when we had the back-to-back hurricanes and like the whole town shut down for one of them, and it was like fucking blue skies the next day?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing happened. It was how many years? It was two coming back to back.
just
I
like
think
today.
Yeah.
2-3 years ago. Yeah.
Blue
Yeah.
skies.
That's what we do, man.
That's what we do.
We prepare and then nothing happens. It's okay. You never know. The one day it happens, then you'll be ready. So
Just like our guests that said they would come on the show, they prepared. But
you have to
one day it'll
prepare.
happen.
One day. One day. I don't know. I think yeah, we were just talking about that some people say, oh yeah, I want to be on the show. And then, when I ask them again and they're like, no, 'cause initially it's like they want to be on the show and then it's, I want to be on it, but I'm busy. And then it's, oh, I don't want to even do it. So I'm like, oh, okay. So
You think it's
I'm
because we
just-
don't censor anything? Maybe they're afraid to come on and talk about.
I don't know. I just think some people just don't want to talk about themselves on a podcast. Like they don't want to answer certain questions or even they just don't want to be in front of the camera talking about their personal stuff. Like I just think maybe some people are like that. And it's not even that personal. I mean, it's like depends, but it's bodybuilding, right? We're talking about a lot of the people that we have are bodybuilders talking about their bodybuilding journey. It doesn't have to get crazy personal deep outside of bodybuilding, but I don't know. I don't know what's the reason. So
Usually with a lot of things, people think it's a good idea at the time that we're talking about
yeah.
doing something, anything until it isn't.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people like when I mean a lot of people, there's a bunch of people that I've asked that are just like not comfortable coming on or they're not ready to come on. I've heard that. So
Anyway,
Yeah.
switching subjects. Let's talk about
I mean,
something a
whatever.
little bit more fun.
Yeah.
We've all been through different types of, well, many years accumulated amongst the three of us, many different variations of styles and so on of training types. As far as evolution of time from our don't know shit, thinking we know how to do something into like our prime, and now that we're a little bit older and injured. I would like to hear what's your evolution of training. How has that been over the years?
Well, me, I used to really believe, I mean, kind of still do to a certain extent, but high intensity training. So, and really pushing the weight. I mean, you want to maybe sometimes because I came from a powerlifting background, so I think I was pretty big on like really pushing heavy loads, trying to get maximum weight and still do the reps, still getting your 6 to 10 reps. I think nowadays you don't necessarily have to go that low in reps. You can go a little bit higher up. I still believe in intensity, really pushing to failure. I think is important. You don't always have to do every single time, but I feel like it is important to go to failure during training. And depending on your goals, if you're bodybuilding, you can change things up a little bit. I mean, sometimes you can cycle it. You can go real heavy, go to failure, high intense for a while, and then maybe back it up for a little bit, really go up, get the reps up a little higher, really squeeze, get the blood in the muscle, get really nice pumps. Full range. I do like full range. I kind of always like full range training, full range of movement. Stuff like that. So I think you can definitely cycle it. It doesn't yeah, I definitely don't think you always have to go heavy when I used to believe that you did. So that has changed. And you can still get results train like that. And even, sometimes mixing it up with a circuit, things like that, throwing that in there, changing things up as far as body parts, maybe doing like a full body workout sometimes. No, I wouldn't it's not my regular program, but I think it's good sometimes just to mix that up, just to get a little change that breaks it up, and then you can go to what works for you, single body parts or whatever, two body parts in a day, that type of stuff. I like that. But I am still big on rest. I still do believe that I'm not a fan of like the 7 day a week, even 6 day a week, not really. I'd probably say maybe 5 days a week is good. I feel like. Um, but if you're not training that intensely, then I think you could probably train more often, of course. But if you are going to failure often and you're training intense, I think 5 days, sometimes 4 days, even if you're going crazy compound exercises and really heavy and really pushing it. So, yeah, that's my whole thing on it.
Did your training style change because you're in the era of Muscle Magazine and all of that stuff? The internet for information wasn't readily available, or quite abundant as far as information for you.
Mm.
So, when you would read these muscle magazines and stuff, did you pick and choose certain people's exercises that they would display and be like, yeah, I'm going to try that and
Yeah, I
see
mean,
what worked for you?
I think I did some of that here and there. I mean, I wasn't that naive to think that that's what those guys were doing exactly. I mean, even when I was younger, like I was 20, 21, I kind of like knew like, oh, the magazine's writing this stuff, I'm sure maybe it's part of what those guys are doing, but it's not the whole story. So I remember looking at it and being like, okay, I can take some of that. Because some of the workouts were crazy, like insanely just so many sets, and I was just like, I'm not doing like 5 sets for each leg exercise, like I'm not gonna do like 35 sets of legs. Like I'm just not gonna do that. You know what I mean? So stuff like that. I would have enough sense to be like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. Um, but I think the internet, yeah, I definitely got information off the internet. I would find other programs and just other things and watching videos and getting ideas. I think that was the biggest thing with me is it's not so much, and I would try certain guys programs. Like there's certain people that I would actually be like, "Oh, let me try this for a little bit and see if it works." I would try that. And then what I would do, and it always happened, is I would kind of chop that up a little bit, and
And
I
see
take,
what
yeah,
works for
what I
you, and
like,
then
what I know I like and what works,
throw
and
away
then
the
take some of
rest.
that
Yeah.
and then put it in there. Yeah. And then I take pieces of their workouts and some stuff was good. You know, um, John Meadows was really
Oh
good. Like
yeah,
John Meadows
absolutely.
had a lot of good programming. Yeah, I did a bunch of his stuff. I actually liked his style of training. So,
What
and
was
that
his
and
name?
that's more of a
Mountain Dog,
newer
or was it Mountain Dog?
sheepdog
Sheepdog,
Mountain
or
Dog.
Mountain
mountain dog.
Dog.
Yeah, they're mountain dog. Yeah,
Was he the
yeah.
guy who created that dog shit style as well? Or
No,
No,
who did the dog shit?
that
dog
was
crap was
Dog crap.
Dante
Dante
Trudell.
You
Dante
ever try any
Trudell.
of
I
that?
have done dog crap training.
Was it
Yeah,
really
it was
crappy?
interesting. Yeah, it was interesting style of training. Yeah, see, I've done a lot of those training. That was interesting. Yeah, because you didn't train. You kind of combined body parts in
Hmm.
that one, a bunch of body parts, and then it was. I think we were only training like what was it like? It was like every other day or something like that. It was weird. But it was pretty intense. Like if you followed it exactly, like it was a real push to get through that workout. Yeah. So I did it for a little while just to see. And then, of course, like I said, I was like, okay, I am going to chop this up a little bit and change things, you know.
Since you guys are very keen on history, who is the inventor of the Widowmaker?
I
That
know
that
Scott
was
Stevenson does
Damn,
it,
you
but
guys
he's
are
not the one
good.
that invented it. It was somebody else before him, and they called it something else. But I think it was either that or there was a type of circuit that Stevenson does that was made famous by someone before him. but Scott Stevenson definitely is a big guy on the Widowmakers.
You guys are good on history.
Well, he's good.
Shit.
He's good at that one. That one, yeah, I didn't know that.
You guys
one.
try any
I
of
didn't know
that?
that one. Yeah, I've done that one
You?
too. I've done that one too.
Widowmakers,
I've
yeah.
done the Widowmaker. Yeah, I've done the
Yeah, I
Widowmaker.
like it.
It's like after your set, it's like that go to failure, and it's usually pretty high rep too.
Like 20.
So like
20,
if it's
yeah.
doing a squat, for instance,
Yeah.
or something, you might do it on a Smith machine.
Yeah.
Because like a barbell, you might fall. So you do it on like those type of exercises like Widowmaker, those are good when on machines because then you can just kind of go to failure and not fall on your face. You know what I mean? So you can just keep going and going, and you can just get the spot, and you're just kind of moving your body. Yeah, when you're doing it with the barbells and stuff, a lot of times, yeah, you might fall, things might happen. So that was the big thing with that dog crap was he did use a lot of machines on that. You'd use dumbbells too, but the machines you could really go beyond,
Yeah.
Yeah, because you didn't have to worry about balancing it, right? You
Yeah.
have to worry about balancing it. You're just pushing. You're just
Yeah.
pushing. You're squatting. You're leg pressing. Your Smith squats. Like that was those exercises that they would want you to do. So I mean, yeah, the Widowmaker, you could do 30, 40 reps. I mean, you kind of just didn't count.
Yeah.
You just was like, okay, this is our weight, and you just go to you literally
Count.
couldn't move. Yeah, you're
And
just
you
like
count to 10 and keep going.
you're like
Yeah.
collapsing. Yeah.
So as far as like a Widowmaker versus like an AMRAP, do you think they're relative, or there's a difference in intensity between an AMRAP, as many reps as you can get? By the way, if you don't know what an AMRAP is,
No, the Widowmaker's harder.
Widowmaker's harder.
Well, yeah, because the AMRAP, there's kind of a number there. Like you kind of are in a certain parameter. You know what I mean? Like the Widowmaker, there's like nothing there. You're just literally going till you are freaking done. The AMRAP is supposed to be similar to that, but it's not really necessarily like that. I think AMRAPs are a little different. AMRAPs, there's like a little bit of a structure there. Like the Widowmakers just go, and then you're just like,
What are your
like
thoughts, Jed, on that?
From what I understand about the Widowmaker, it's like, okay, the way I always set it up, all right, let's pick a weight you can do for 10 and let's get 30. So when you get
Right.
12 and you can't go, you rack it, count to 10, you go again. Now we've got 5 more. Okay, that's 17. We've still got a few more reps to go.
Well, that's the dog crap style.
Yeah.
But that's not the Widowmaker though. Okay, that's a little different because those are like rest pause sets.
Yeah.
The Widowmaker, that isn't.
Or it's like I think you can't rack it.
the
Like, I know on
Widowmaker,
the
yeah, you
you
don't
can't rack it, but you can lock it out and rest.
You don't rack it.
I mean,
Right.
you can
You're
rack it.
You're staying under the bar the whole
Yeah.
time. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no racking. You're under the bar, and it's usually after all your other sets.
Yeah.
You're like, so typically, if you did, I don't know, 400 pounds of Smith machine squats, you might drop down to 225 now. And you're like, okay, because your legs are pretty fried already. Now we're gonna go do, and it's not a drop set. It's not like 400 then go to 225.
Yeah.
You do your set, you rest a minute, 2 minutes, whatever. Then you go and then you do it. And it's kind of a deceiving thing because you'll kind of pump out 10 like pretty good. You're like, oh yeah, like I'm going. And then it just starts kicking in, once you get to like 12, 15, and then you just want to quit, right? Because you're like, okay, this is like enough. But then you have to keep going. Like you're not done yet. If you can still move, you can still do it. Like you're physically not done. So
do you keep yourself accountable in your head about it, or do you have somebody like, come on,
that's
fag,
definitely a
let's
training
fucking go.
partner. I've done it on my own. It's
Okay.
not, it's good, but that's definitely a training partner thing. Like if you kind of want a good training partner,
Yeah.
because then what will happen is whoever goes first, which I always like to go first because I'd rather get it done and then I can punish the other guy.
Yeah.
Right?
And if he fucks you up on your first set,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, bitch.
Well, I really hope he
payback's
does.
a bitch.
I hope he does. I want him to. Like I want him to. Like I
Yeah.
want him to be like I'm like, I'm good. He's like, you got 5 more, and I'm like, oh, like I kind of want that.
Fuck
You know what
you,
I mean?
I got 7.
Yeah. Like 5. I'm gonna do freaking exactly. I'm gonna do 10 now. Yeah, do stupid stuff like that, right? It's a mental game.
Oh,
So I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, I used to like to do that type of training. I know, but that wasn't something that I would do every week.
no, not at
because
all.
that was super burnout, man.
Because you do gotta allow your CNS to
Yeah.
recover from that,
Yeah.
nonetheless, your body and everything else. So, not
Yeah.
every week. And if you could do it every week, then you're obviously not training the rest of the days properly, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, yeah, your whole workout. I mean, yeah. What are you doing for other parts of your workout, right? Are you just kind of cruising because you know you're going to do that? Like that's the thing too, right? You push really hard, even knowing you're going to do that. You push really hard, so when you get there, you're physically exhausted. But what I would do is, if I had training partners, I wouldn't even tell them that that's what we were going to do.
Okay.
We would just train, and then we'd get to that point, and I'd be like, okay, we're doing this. The Widowmaker, like what? We're doing that? I said, yeah. Like all of a sudden they're like, oh, they weren't planning on it, right? So now it's like, oh shit, like, dude, I was just killing myself in those last sets, and I was like, yeah, perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
You weren't holding back. Now you have to
Okay.
push
So
even more.
speaking on that subject, since both of you guys are coaches, Jed, you can go first. When you guys have clients and they're like, oh, and they're trying to squeeze out their last 2 sets, and you're like, nope, give me 5 more. And they do like 5 more, and you still know they probably got another 3 or 4 in reserve. How do you guys like tell your clients after that, like, basically, yo, you were sandbagging, you got more in the tank, we can push a little harder? Is the rest of your workouts when you're not with me just as weak? So how do you guys
Mm,
handle that?
at some point, I'll give my heads up saying it's not written in stone. If it's 10 and you've got 5 more, I'm going to tell you to do 5 more. So don't get pissy. I've had guys like get pissy about it. You said 10. Well, also you said this was enough weight, and obviously it wasn't. So you need to do more. Not too long ago, I had a guy, he kept racking it early before he was done on the leg press.
Hate that. Yeah.
And he racked it early. One time he racked it and he said it burns. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking supposed to. So let's go again. A few sets later, he did the same thing. He racked it early, and I raised my voice, said, "One more time, I'm fucking kicking you out of here."
that would
I
be
said,
you.
so I was done. I was
That would be you.
like, that's it.
That's
And
funny.
yeah, I explained to him, if you keep stopping when it hurts, then you're not gonna, like, you adapt when you push past that point. Every rep past that point is what counts. So if you keep stopping at that point, you have nothing to adapt to. So that's why you're just gonna be the same fucking dude when you wake up tomorrow. And that's not why you came here, right? It's like, so when it burns, you have to mentally find this switch and flip it towards, like, okay, now it's time to push harder. And you have to do that of course, within this safe zone where you don't get anything injured. But there has to be a switch you flip that when it starts hurting, it's like, okay, now it counts. Now I need to go.
Exactly that, what you said.
Yeah.
When it hurts, that's when it starts to count.
Yeah.
So that's when I actually start counting. I mean, yeah, I keep it within a threshold or a window. I'm not gonna do excessive amounts of reps. I don't get into like the 50s and then okay, I feel it now. It's usually by the time I'm like at number 8, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's the burn. And then I usually start my counting my reps from there. But yeah, when it actually burns for me,
Yeah.
I you guys have your own ways to get in your own head about the training intensity,
Yeah.
but that's the way I do it. So, like, as far as the same question for you, how do you handle your clients when they got more in the tank and they're just sandbagging?
I mean, it depends on each client, like what that person's goal is, right? Like if that person is just coming in to work out, I usually tell them, I'll be like, oh, you could have done 2 more. Like I'll just say it like that, just kind of like, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, they might say something back. If it's a competitor, it's a little different. I don't know. I usually won't even let them rack it, to be honest. I usually be like, they'll be like, rack, and I say, no, you got 2 more, let's go. And they'll be like, and they'll take it off, and I'll make them do 2 more. So I usually don't let them, unless maybe they completely were like, I can't do anymore. And I'm just like, then I'll be like, oh, okay. I'm like, are you? I don't know what you're doing. I mean, are you trying to get results? Because you can't just stop. Like you need to keep going. Like you need to work through it. Like, oh yeah, just they give me excuse. I'm like, okay, well, the next set, like you need to push through it. Like that. So it's kind of like that. That's what I usually do.
How,
But yeah,
how do you extend sets? What methods do you use to extend a set? Like if they can't do full reps, but they need to keep going, like what are some stuff you do?
yeah. I mean,
Force
usually,
reps.
yeah. Well, you can either force rep it, or you do the Weeder rest pause principle. Everything was Weeder principles, right? Nah, yeah, you just have them rack it, rest for a couple seconds, and then go. Let's do some more. Yeah, so that's one that I do a lot actually, and it works really well. People just want that 2 seconds to re-rack, and then they feel better, right? And then they're like, okay, and they do another 5, and it's kind of funny to me. I'm like, you could have just done the 5, but whatever.
Get it over with.
I know they just don't want to deal with the pain, right? So, like, okay,
Force reps are one of the only things that still make me sore.
yep.
That's it.
Negatives and force rep. Negatives are crazy. I like negatives. I used to do negatives a lot. That was really hard. Yeah, a lot of people don't even do negatives anymore. A lot of people do force reps, but not so much negatives. And that I think I feel like a lot of people don't. They just don't work the negatives that much, which is to me is really good for
You're missing out on
growth.
a lot when you do that.
Really good for growth. Yeah, negatives you definitely want a training partner. You want a training partner because you're gonna go overload. It's gonna be heavy to where you're probably not even gonna be able to finish the rep on your own. So your partner's gonna just kind of get it up for you. You're gonna do that negative, and he's gonna pull it back up again, and you're gonna do that negative again. And he's gonna do a couple of those. You won't even be able to do it on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't do negatives, but as far as myself, because my body hurts too much. I can't lift heavy the way that I've once used to.
Yeah.
So I really just slow down everything from the concentric to the eccentric, hold and squeeze a little bit longer than normal. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just I
I
can't
mean,
lift
that way
heavy
it's
weight.
perfect, like slowing it down is great. Like really feeling it and just going controlled. Because I do a lot of pauses now with
Mm.
people at the bottom of the movement so that they're not trying to bounce it.
Yeah, no momentum,
So it's
just slow.
just come down and squeeze and then back up. And then that controls it a lot more. Because a lot of times people are just they're just moving like that, right? It's like boom, 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 boom. They're flying through it. And it's like, oh man, like slow that down. And then of course it's funny because then they're like, oh, that really hurts. And I'm like, yeah, well, because now you're actually using all your muscle to move that weight
Yeah.
instead of like kind of bouncing it or
Now you're
using
bodybuilding,
your
not
joints.
exercising, right?
Yeah, right.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Like we
Burning
said,
calories or actually trying to break down muscle tissue, like two
what's
different
the
things.
goal? Are we bodybuilding or exercising?
Yeah. Toning. We're gonna tone.
We're gonna
The
tell.
word tone. I love the word tone. I just want to tone. I
So
think to this day I still get people that come in and
I
are
just want
like,
to get
I
toned.
want to get tone. I want to tone my muscles.
I want a
I
fat
don't
ass and I want
or
to
yeah, I'm not trying to get big or muscular. I just want to get I'm just like, okay, sure, dude.
You accidentally get huge. You
I know.
fucking let me know how you
I
did
know,
it.
I know.
Yeah.
If you get jacked, bro, then man, I'm just hanging it up. Yeah. Like, I don't want to get big.
out of curiosity, for as far as your competitors or the ones that take bodybuilding a little serious and they don't necessarily need to compete.
Yeah.
Is this training programs that you design for your competitors that are or like that type of person, bodybuilders, different when they're on gear versus natural?
No, it's pretty much the same. When they're natural though, I might have them rest, like more rest during the week, between the workouts and stuff like that. Depends. But typically it's the same workouts. Yeah. It's all the same. I don't really change it just because you're on gear. Like you're gonna push the same way.
Um, well, for me, I advocate just me personally for putting in a little bit more work when you're on gear. I mean, you're fucking on gear, so
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I get that, but I don't know. I think it's just train hard either way. And then the guy who's not on gear might need to get a little bit
more
more
rest time,
recovery,
recovery.
maybe. But that's about it. Yeah.
What about you, Jed?
Um, Not really. The only time I would consider the gear being a variable is if they're trying to get lean. Maybe we can cut them a little harder if they're on it. Um, of course, possibly they're gonna grow easier. So I mean, you may have to push the natural guys a little harder and be more strategic with the food intake. But as far as the training program, I start everybody off the same, and then I kind of see how they do. I do have a baseline to start everybody at, and then go off of that. But for the most part, I don't do anything different.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah.
All right. All
Yeah,
right.
makes
That's a good
sense.
one. Okay. As far as both of you two being coaches and trainers, when do you incorporate other stuff like bands and chains into their programs?
Um, I don't use them that much. I mean, I have before here and there in the past and sometimes, but yeah, I mean it's cool. Like if I don't know, if I want to use definitely for strength training, there's definitely value in that, using chains, especially you're trying to work through a sticking point with a certain movement, squat or bench thing. But for bodybuilding, I don't know. I don't use them that much. I mean, maybe the bands would be useful for bodybuilding. You can put them on some of the machines and get that added resistance, especially at the top of the movement, kind of pulling back on you. So stuff like that. But I don't think it's like you need it. It's definitely something that started, not that long ago, maybe in the last 15, 20 years, probably. But because before then, I mean, guys never used them. And we had some of the best bodybuilders in the 90s, and those guys never used bands or chains. They were pretty jacked. So, but yeah, no, I mean, like I said, there's use for it, especially for strength training. Yeah, I think that's where you can get the use.
What about your take, Jed?
Same. If they hit a sticking point on their strength or performance, like to use them. The bands, I really think it can also help them contract the muscle harder and squeeze it harder because that band's pulling back. So I mean, as you're pushing, it's pulling back more. And like if you're doing, like say you're on a machine press and used to getting easier when you're out here, it'll start getting harder. And you could argue, well, doing chains on a dumbbell press or a flat press will do the same, but the bands just pull back harder. So you're going to squeeze the muscle harder. And people argue, yeah, you should pose in between sets to get more striations. Well, the bands also do that too. So when I started thinking about that, I was like, well, I could get even more stronger contractions out of these guys if I put bands on it, especially towards the end of the exercise. Like you take a dumbbell fly and you band it and you're up here, there's no rest. So they're up here and it's pulling back and they're squeezing the shit out of the middle of the chest, especially if you use something like kettlebells or just the band where you get the hands in closer and get the middle of the chest in. So that the bands, I think, towards the end, as long as there's no chance of getting injured, because the bands will work you a little bit, I think they come in handy. They could build in more detail.
My perspective, yeah, they're a very good tool, whether you use bands or chains, whatever floats your boat. Very good if you have like a sticking point or you want to break past a non-developed stage. Say you've been trying to work your chest, since we've been using that chest example, and over year, you everything else have developed substantially, but your chest is a lagging part. Yeah, you can incorporate a little bit more bands or chains to get a different type of stimulus to that muscle group, and I think it'll be very beneficial.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. There's always a way.
There is, I mean,
Something
we've talked
different.
about many different ways to skin a cat or whatever. Manapua
We're
cat
skinning cats.
again.
What do you guys think about rotating rep ranges?
Go ahead, Mark.
rotating rep ranges.
So the way I was explained to me is like, let's say your core lifts, you're going to do 4 to 6 for a few weeks. Auxiliary, you may go a little higher. You have 4 to 6 weeks to build a base strength. Now let's translate that to a 6 to 8 or an 8 to 10 rep range.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
hypertrophy only happens 8
Yeah,
to 12.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. But now I have more of a base strength to do more weight between that 8 to 12
Right.
reps, and therefore I can get bigger.
Well, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier
Yeah.
when I said about cycling, like you could have the high intensity, you're doing those, 4 to 8 reps, and then you do that, and then sometimes then you'll cycle it for a few weeks. You'll go a little bit higher rep, right? And then you can come back to that. So it's a similar type of training.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think it works, right? I think it's you're stimulating the muscle either way. I mean, I definitely think like having like especially certain body parts, like for me, quads, I could do like probably 30 reps on quads and still get results from that. Not so much, I don't 30 reps for like buys or something or tries. That's a little high, but for quads, like I could go as high as 30 reps and get results for that. Sometimes I would go really heavy on my quads, do squats, and I do like sets of like 5. I mean, my legs were probably got results for me because I had pretty big legs at the time, but that was definitely more strength, and then it runs into other issues hip issues, back issues from just going so heavy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there was other things that happened, but I think all of that is good. And if you cycle it, I definitely think there is a benefit to it. So sometimes doing high, sometimes doing 10 reps, 30 reps, 15 reps. Yeah. I like to play around with it.
I agree as well too. Like there's a time and place, right? What are your goals? Are you trying to for a strength phase, or are you in a building phase, and so on and so forth? We can also do a microcycle and a mesocycle, which is fine. Say you're not feeling well, maybe your body needs a deload week, so of course that could be as well scheduled in. So alternating all of the variables is something that I'm open to as well.
Yeah. It's good stuff. There's so many different ways. Some people have a thing about like doing all this fancy, those, like creative exercises, right? Like different ones. And I don't know, like I've never been a huge fan of like doing some real fancy stuff. Sometimes like I kind of like simple things. And I feel like a lot of times for me, if I find an exercise that I really like, say, I don't know, like say pull-ups, for instance, right? Like I like pull-ups. Okay. I'm gonna be doing pull-ups like always in a back workout. I'll always be doing some type of pull-up, forever. Like I like bent over rows. I'm always gonna be doing some type of row, like whether it's a barbell row, dumbbell row, like I'm gonna be doing that every workout pretty much. I like it. I think it works. So I'm not gonna take that out. Like I'll probably have it in my workout every time. Some people want to mix it up always, like change everything. You shouldn't do the same exercise for too long, but I don't believe in that. I mean, I could do that same exercise for 2 years, and get crazy results from
Right,
it
that's the
and get
essence of
really good
progressive
at it.
overload,
Yeah.
right? The
And get
same
good at it.
workout and just
Yeah.
working on the technique and perfecting every
Yeah.
single rep is what counts. Not like, oh, next week you come in, you're gonna do a completely different back workout
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like whatever.
Because a lot of people think that
Hmm.
and don't get me wrong, like I think it's good to mix things up, but I definitely have, those core exercises that I'm keeping in there,
Hmm.
like these are the ones we're gonna do, and then we'll put some other ones in there too, just to mix it up. Why not? It
Yeah,
can get
sure.
boring, okay,
Yeah.
sure.
That
But
that reminds me of in high school. When I was in high school and I started writing my own workouts. I would do like let's take chest for example. The core lifts would be like 8 to 10, the other ones would be 10 to 12. I would do okay if I do incline barbell, then I'm doing flat dumbbell, and the next that means and which means I would do like an incline cable or an incline dumbbell fly, and then a machine for a crossover for chest. Then the next week you would be okay incline dumbbell, flat barbell. The flat flies are going to be dumbbell and the incline is going to be some kind of machine. So I would have like these two core workouts that I would always flip. Why I
I
came up
see.
with this, I don't know. I was fucking 14, 15. I didn't know.
Mm.
Like squats and front squats. I would rotate those 1 week squats, 1 week front squats, and I would record each of those.
Mm.
Some reason that always seemed to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why. I have no explanation for it, but now at the same time, now if I keep feeling an exercise, I don't change it. And if I stop feeling a barbell row, I'll switch to a dumbbell row or I'll switch to like a hammer strength
Yeah.
and then go back to the barbell and I start feeling it again. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's good.
it's
It's yeah, like again, there's different ways of doing it.
nothing's
All
really wrong. I mean, it all fucking works.
it can for
Yeah.
some people. Some people just touch the weights, they get big. Some people are blessed like that.
Touch some steroids and get big.
I just get jacked, man. Just looking at the weights. Yeah. No, I got really good at certain lifts because I did those lifts every single time. And like incline barbell was my starter for like chest all the time. I always liked it. I mean, at one point, I don't know, I was in my 20s, like my mid was probably like 25. Something, and I could do like I think I was doing like 425 for
Jesus.
about 6 reps on the incline barbell consistently. I was going over 400 pounds every time, like and doing it and clean, shoulder like military. I always used to do behind the neck presses.
Oh yeah, old school.
Yeah, and I do 315 and I work at that weight. I do it like 10 to 15 times behind the neck. That was another core. Um, I used to do squats. Then I was doing a lot of Smith squats because like just my back and stuff. Certain areas I was feeling it more when I did barbell squats. So I kind of switched to Smith and it would feel a little bit better. But I mean, whatever on that. I don't know what it was, like 6 plates on each side. I don't even know what that was.
So
600
what was
pounds,
your
whatever.
workout routine like? What kind of bro split did you have where you had a push pull upper lower?
Yeah.
What was
Oh,
that
I
like?
kind of did more of a Dorian Yates routine. I was really big into that style of training in my 20s and probably in my 30s too. I really followed like the heavy dude, like Mike Menser kind of started it, and then Dorian took it. And
For those of the people who don't know, go ahead and explain what's like the Dorian Yates style in comparison to like what the normal bro split or upper lower that you'd kind of commonly.
um, well, Dorian Yates, usually you would do like 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, and then I take 2 days off. Okay, so it's like 4 days a week. Or you could go 2 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off, 2 on. Just keep doing that.
And was it like
You
push
could
pull
rotate.
or what was it?
Yeah, so it was usually like back was the first workout. So you would do a back day, and then you would do chest day the next day, then rest, and then you would hit legs, and then you would do your next day would be shoulders, bis, and tris. And then of course calves. I think I was putting calves in on back day, and I think I was putting it on shoulder day too. So like 2 days a week of the calves. And so that's kind of what it was. So then you would go in there and it was just back day, right? It was just only back. So we're gonna kill, we're gonna demolish
So
back,
back would include
demolish chest.
hamstrings as well too, or would that be
Yeah,
on a single leg day?
you could depending, yeah, but sometimes I would do hams after the back workout. It depends. Sometimes I didn't. Because then sometimes you do legs, and then back then I didn't. I actually had a hard time doing a lot of hams on my leg days because I did do a lot of heavy squats and stuff. So my hams were pretty fried. So I would sometimes put them on back day, but now later on what I did was I started mixing in hamstrings with the quads, and I would do like sometimes I'd start with hamstrings. I'd start with like a low lying leg curl, and then I go into like a squat movement. I would get the hamstrings going first, activate them, right? This was later. But when I was in my 20s and 30s, that was hams was usually a secondary thing to my quad training because my base training was heavy squats and heavy leg presses, hack squats. So I was still hitting my hamstrings.
I see.
But that's Dorian Yates style. You didn't train for a long, you weren't in the gym for 2 hours. It was usually about an hour. And again, because I'm just doing back, right? I mean, it's my back workout. So it doesn't take that long. And also your sets. Typically I would do when you really can perfect it, like so the first exercise you might do like a lighter weight, like one set. Sometimes I would do four sets actually. The first so I do like a light and then another light and then a medium and then an all out heavy set. And then my next exercise depends. I would either do 2 or 3 sets. I might just do one set, which is a nice feeling out the weight, and then my heavy set. And then I'm moving on to the next one. And that's kind of the style. And that included, you would do negatives in there, you would get force reps in there on that set, right? On that all out set.
Drop sets
Because
included.
sometimes drop sets too. Yeah. You would do drop sets because that one set, your second set, whatever, that was the one, right? So you have to make that set count. So there was a thing about knowing like, okay, I'm only going to do 2 sets on this exercise. So my first set is feeling it out, getting it warm. I mean, it's already warm probably by then, but I'm just feeling out the muscle, engaging, getting my mind connected. And then my second set is all out. So I knew, okay, I got to get everything I got because it's only 2 sets. So that was the thing. So it was always this like this real push. I always felt like the whole workout, like I couldn't really like chill. Like it was like, okay, I'm gonna go really hard on these sets. And because if I don't, I'm only doing how many sets, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not doing the volume, right? I'm not doing like 25 sets.
Right.
I do 25 sets on back. I'm good no matter what. My back's gonna hurt. If I'm only doing, say, maybe 10 sets total on my back workout, I gotta make sure that those sets were really good. Because out of those 10 sets, I might only do like 4 or 5 of those that were all out. And that's really it.
Mhm.
That's all you did.
What about you, Jed?
About what? I spaced out there towards the end.
Thanks,
I didn't
Jed.
take anything today.
Oh,
I'm going raw dogging it.
Raw dog in
oh,
it.
dog, Jed,
Just
wake
on
the
black
fuck
coffee. That's
up.
it.
As far as your workout programs, what's your program, personal program like? You have like a bro split, upper lower push pull.
I've tried them all. Right now, I got the clients on kind of a bro split just because I want them coming in 5 times a week and getting in the routine. They're trying to lose weight. So, I mean, we don't need to emphasize, okay, your delts need to be bigger. You just need to fucking train and eat right. Um, yeah, I do like touching up some of the upper body towards the end of the week. So if you're doing like shoulders Tuesday, Friday, we're going to do 20, 30 reps of some light dumbbell laterals towards the end just to pump them back up. I do like doing that. For getting bigger, I'm going to go back to it after I get some more weight off because I do remember when I was younger, it worked very well. The 4 day, 2 on 1 off, 2 on 2 off. You know, I really like that a lot for growing. I just think the more rest is good, but in return, you said you got to earn that rest.
Yeah.
So, if you've only got you only got 3 or 4 sets for biceps, that's got to be,
Yeah.
which you could argue training biceps hard or not works well. But like, let's say like chest, like you got, you know, 5, 6 sets, maybe 3 exercises total or something for chest. You got to make sure like you're dead every set, like
Oh,
you
yeah.
put into it because you're taking a full day off from training after that. I've done so many different ways, but like right now, like the 5 day a week works well. And I'm not saying it's because it gets the best for growth and stuff, but it keeps these people I have now in the gym Monday through Friday.
Mm.
So that once they get in that routine, now these guys, once they're done with the Sean Ray and they come off, they will be getting tailored specific programs to them because they've seen all my videos. They know how to do everything. Now I can just write some shit out and they'll know how to follow it. It's like, for instance, I got a couple of guys that are really tall and lanky. They need arms bad. So I'll find a way to either, okay, does the high rep frequency work well for them, or they need to just do like 2 or 3 sets once or twice a week and go all out. And then I'll build the program off that. But they're probably going to go on a 4 day a week. And if they do a 5th day, it'll be a light pump day, emphasizing the weak areas that they have. So I hope to answer the question.
Yes, it did.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. My next question that I have for you guys, we're talking about like Jed, you've explained variations of chest, your upper flat, and lower. Do you guys usually do the 3 types on like a chest day, or like how we have shoulders, we have, you know, the anterior, medial, and posterior delts. So do you hit all 3? Well, actually, shoulders is 7, but right.
Yeah.
Shoulders is actually 7, whatever. But yeah, do you?
7
Yeah.
muscles. Yeah. No, I do. I actually try to hit. I mean, on chest day, for instance, I would always focus on upper chest at the beginning, and I mean, it was the hardest thing to build, So I would always do upper chest, and then I would hit something in the middle, whatever exercise that was, middle, and then usually, I didn't do a lot of declines, but I did do dips a lot. I like dips, so I would finish with dips a lot. I love the exercise just overall. I just like the feeling of it. So that's why I always added that in there. But main focus was upper chest for sure. Because you still hit the middle even when you get upper. So that was my main thing. Upper chest with a little bit of middle, and then finish off with one thing for lower. Not a huge fan of decline exercises. I mean, they're all right. I just never really felt them. I think maybe flies I think I could feel better on that, but like incline. I love incline exercises.
So on a training day, you would hit all different heads.
You
from
usually,
there.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Shoulders, all
Yeah. Oh
chest.
yeah. I mean, well, because on the
Okay.
shoulders, I would hit, when you're doing that compound movement, right? Some type of shoulder press, right? You're definitely hitting, throughout the front. through the middle at least, but I would always focus on doing rear delt, some type of rear delt exercise too. Always. So pretty much I hit all heads, yeah.
Okay.
And I think the compounds, that's why I like to do compounds in there, because compound exercises, I'm always going to get multiple muscles in one exercise. That's why I liked it. And then you do the singles after that.
What about you, Jed?
So on the day where I pump up the chest and not training, I do like a decline fly. I kind of feel it, but I will say when I do my chest workout, I've started doing a slight decline by putting a 25 under the end of the bench and then arching my back. And when I press, I'll aim for the upper mid chest. I won't aim for the lower, and that fucking does it.
Yeah.
So I used to be all like declines bullshit, and then I started doing that, and I started thinking, well, that really hits the chest really well. I don't like a straight on press unless it's with the machine. Even then, I still like to arch my back a little bit. But I do more upper chest. I actually had to finagle my upper chest training because I was always too worried about getting the shoulders involved. But now on that Gen 1, that old hammer strength you have
Yeah.
that converges, if you actually hit high and let your elbows come up and then press in, it gets all across you very well.
Yeah.
So I do that. And then I even change the flies up. I rotate the elbows out and get a stretch and come in. So when you told me my upper chest was lagging, I started looking, okay, well, obviously I'm not hitting it. So I got to find some other shit. And I started doing that. And then I had my guys do it. I'm like, what do you think about this? The ones that are experienced that I'll actually accept feedback from. And we started playing with it and got to where now my upper chest is sore as shit all the time.
Awesome.
So even and on the pec deck, like that one, that prime you have,
Yeah.
if you hold it and actually tilt forward a little bit and come up, it's a fly that hits all across up here.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
But I do mostly like flat and incline on the chest day and a decline cable on the off day, which is Tuesday. Except for that slight decline press. I feel that better than just a flat on. Every time I do a flat on, like flat press with a barbell or dumbbell, as I start getting heavier, something tears. So that got me looking into more of the decline stuff. And I really like how it feels.
So you were showing an example of your elbows kind of like winging out and then bringing it back forward. Are you lifting a little bit lighter because you have to do that, or you're just trying to go balls to the walls as heavy?
Well, as much as I can without getting injured. But like on that hammer strength, I can't do 3 plates like that now, like I could when I had my elbows tucked coming up.
Right.
So it hits higher. So I can go up to 2 for a few reps now. And especially on the flies, like you're talking doing 40, 45s down to like 20s, 25s now. Because I mean, I'll literally go back and hold my head back and I let it hang and then bring it in and twist. And like even doing that right now, because I did it yesterday, all this is sore shit. So because people like you can argue this is the base and that's the base for that, but there's some of us that are built odd and we have to do a little bit of odd shit like that to hit the muscles a certain way.
Like, so what you just showed was a little unorthodox, and people might be, oh, you don't not supposed to wing out your elbows, but hey, it works for you using lighter weight. You're still using it safely. You're not compromising anything, and you found what actually works for you for your chest the best. So like as far as exercise, workout program, regimens, and all of that, yes, trust and believe in your coach, but at the same time, if you're doing it properly, everything basically works as well. So that's a really good example. Find what works for you. So you might see not just the guys, like girls, they're doing all kinds of funky different glute exercises, and you might think like, oh, that maybe I should try. She got glutes like that, and maybe I should try. Some it may work for you, it may not. You just got to give it a whirl and see what works for you. How can you target that muscle so that you can, get your max benefit for the efforts that you put forth to it?
Yeah, that's true. Not doesn't work. I mean, if it's a good exercise, it's going to work. But yeah, some people do some funky stuff. You're like, what is that? And maybe they figured it out. But you ever heard of this thing? This is a blast from the past, baby.
All right, let's go.
Cybergenics. You ever heard of that?
Cybergenics.
Yes, Have you guys heard of this? Have you guys heard of this?
Wasn't it a workout program with a certain type of like eating or supplement regimen?
Yeah.
It showed the before and afters. You'd be
It
like,
was the
did they really change that
80s.
much?
I actually tried that.
Yeah.
I think I was like 18 or 19, and you buy the thing, the program, and it has all the supplements in there, whatever it was, and then you follow the program. And it was interesting because the type of stuff that they would have you do, it was like high intensity type training. But I remember we would do squats, and then they would have us do explosive, like they would have us jump after.
Whoa.
So that was like,
Okay.
that's like different, right? That's more like athletic type training. I remember, and I did it for a little while, and I was like, oh, this isn't really bodybuilding, but it was hard. Like it was hard because you were doing all these things, you were doing like these little sets, supersets, whatever. I can't remember all of it, but it was tough. Like the workouts were pretty tough, and you had to follow. There was a certain meal plan. I don't know exactly what it was, but they wanted you to eat so much food, and so it was interesting. It was kind of cool. Like I just tried it out for. I think it was like I was it an 8 week or 6 week thing or something. I don't remember. I don't think I even finished the whole thing because I think I got halfway through it and I was like, yeah, this isn't really that great.
Wasn't Pinnacle another one?
Pinnacle was.
Pinnacle was another one kind of like that.
Yeah, that came out later. Yeah, Cybergenics
Yeah.
was like the first one.
So Pinnacle was like when I was a kid. It was like
Yeah.
the 90s.
Cybergenics was like the 80s,
Yeah.
and then the 90s Pinnacle. They had some other ones come out later. And like you said, it was a lot of the before and after pictures.
Yeah.
In the magazines, that's how they sold it, before and afters. And so yeah, I mean, like I said, I was down to try all kinds of programs.
Yeah, at the same time, like with the internet and social media, nothing has changed. They give you like this bunk before picture. Hey, use my program, you get results like this.
Yeah. The dude's all standing there, stomach sticking out,
My
Frowning.
booty
Yeah,
program.
he's frowning. I love that when they look mad.
Yeah.
They're like,
the before picture.
and then the after
And
one,
they slouch a little bit.
the after
more.
one, they're out at the beach, in the sun, ripped, tan, like this, happy. Like you're like, well, yeah, dude. I mean, look.
And the guy
Some-
got the girl.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
there's-
say some
they
girl
always
next
have
to
a
him,
girl
yeah.
in the after picture. I know. There's always a chick now. Like after picture, look, I got a girl. Like it's so funny, and they're standing up right now. This time, they're not slouching. Yeah, like come on, man. I know it's so funny.
Way to sell your program, though. Hey,
Hey, I think it worked. I mean, a lot of people they bought into it. For sure.
I have too much of a guilty conscience to do something like that, man.
They're making lots of money, man. I don't know. I don't think they cared. They were getting paid.
But then you
baby.
come and go though. I mean, you make
It
your
did
money
come
and
and
you
go.
cash
No,
out.
it didn't last.
Yeah.
I mean, these programs, but I'm sure they made a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
For the whatever 2-3 years that they were, killing it, because that's what it seems like for the most part. It's usually a few years and then it kind of fades out. But once everybody figures out that it's just, hey, you could just diet and do some cardio and lift, and you could do the same thing. Like you don't have to
Yeah.
do this program. Like it's not rocket science, but hey, yeah. But I think it's good. People having a program is helpful. Yeah, so that's good. Like you buy it, you follow it. I mean, it probably works because if you didn't, like, what would you do if you were a person that wanted to lose weight? You couldn't afford a trainer, you didn't know a trainer, and you just were trying to do it, and you could buy this $200-300 program, and it's for 8 weeks. I mean, yeah, why not? Like it's better than you not doing anything. Like at least you're gonna do something with it. You'll follow it. So I think it's good. It gives you a goal. So
There was I remember there was a time where actually I got a handful of clients. This is actually talking good about those programs that started like P90X when that was big.
Oh yeah.
And they would get results, but then they had nowhere else to go after that. So then they hired a trainer.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, if they never would have bought that infomercial program and done it, they never would have got off the couch. And they probably never would have come through into the
Right.
office.
Exactly.
So there is some plus side because it does get some people off the couch and get them started. And then when they want to do more than that, they come find a trainer. So, I mean, some of those programs, I mean, are bullshit. Some of them get people off the couch. Some of them do good things. And I remember the P90X when people finished that, there was more than 2 or 3 people over a year that came to me because they started that program and stopped and wanted to do more.
P90X.
So thanks, P90X.
Remember they had the Bowflex.
Yeah.
Bowflex.
Speaking of bow, how's about Thai bow?
Oh
Billy
yeah,
Blank, Billy
Thai
Blank
Bowl.
bow.
Thai Bowl. Yeah, that
God
guy made some
almighty.
money off of
Heck
that too.
yeah, and Shanti.
Shanti, he just got his pro card
Oh wow,
in
that's
the
right. That's
North
right.
Americans. In Mrs.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he competes.
Hey, he's
I
got an
just saw he
amazing
got his pro
body
card. I
though.
was like, oh, okay, wow. He got into it. Yeah, but he didn't. Shanti didn't create that program.
His dancing.
Because what
whatever-
was it? Was that the
called?
P90X?
No.
Oh, wait,
he
what was the
had a-
program? What was it called?
Oh my
What?
gosh,
Shanti.
Shanti's program.
I can look it up.
He didn't create that. It was another guy who created a few different ones, and then Shanti, I think, was just like the face of it.
But that was phenomenal. Like getting your cardio up,
Oh, yeah.
dancing. Yeah.
That wasn't P90X. No, Wasn't
No,
it
that's
Beachbody.
Beachbody.
No, but there was something else, right?
And then after that, it evolved
It was
to like
Beachbody?
Zumba.
Oh,
Oh
Zumba.
God.
Well, Zumba was good for the housewives, right? Like, just dance your way into shape, like dance your way, the Brazilian way, Zumba.
See, like all of this marketing, trendy marketing stuff,
Yeah,
it does work. Jed made a good point where it gets you off of the couch, at least
it
gets you
does.
moving. And then, after you've topped out on that, you go on to
It
the next
does.
phase. If
Hey, let's
that's a
not
thing.
ever forget the Thigh Master
Wasn't that Suzanne Summers?
and yes,
Thigh-
and the pump and the shake weight, the shake
Oh.
weight, the shake weight.
That
Oh my
was
God,
bad. They
those
made
are
the
funny.
best commercials
I
with the shake
saw
weight
it.
or
Yeah.
that one that pocket or
Uh-huh.
the pull one. I forgot whatever. They made
There
some
was there was a
hilarious
news thing
infomercials
on it
on
one
that.
time, a
What was
newscast that did it. It was really good.
God,
What was the
Yeah.
one that looked like
They
some
made
kind of
their-
triangle
Wait,
spaceship?
who
for
did
their
P90X
abs?
though?
I forget.
Who was that? I thought
P90X?
that was Sean T.
No, it was
No.
this like old white dude that looked good for his age.
P90X.
That's right.
Oh.
And then that white dude got really sick with
No, I
some
think
kind of
that's the same
disease,
guy
and then,
though.
and then he got well again and tried to
Tony
like,
Horton.
That's the guy who made the other program too with
Sean
Sean T. I think so. I think
the
that was him.
Beachbody. Oh,
Wait,
that's-
Tony Horton? What does he
Yeah.
look like? Is he the guy's all hyped up? Oh,
Oh, he
there
doesn't
was
look
one
hyped
guy.
up here.
He was always like, he's the ex-bodybuilder. Yeah, I think was it his name was Tony too, and he would
Body
be
by
all hyped up.
Beachbody. I
He'd
think
be
they
all
both did
hyped
it.
up, and he would be on the TV trying to sales program, on his half-an-hour commercial, and he was just always like, "We're gonna work it out. I'm gonna shake it to do," and he was always hyped. He was an ex-body, but he kind of had longer hair. I forget his. I think it was Tony Little. Maybe that was his name. Tony,
I
you
remember Tony Little.
Tony Little. Tony Little.
The
And he was
gazelle.
always hype, and he was just like fired up.
Yeah, he
Man.
could sell anything, dude.
Oh my God. And I used to make fun of him. Me and my friends, I would always imitate him.
Wasn't it the gazelle?
Oh my God. I
The
don't
floating little cardio thing?
dude,
Yeah,
he
that's what
had
it
he had
was.
something else too before that. Like I just
these guys.
all these
made their
memories are coming back.
millions.
Oh, these guys made so much
They
money.
made their millions.
I mean, the Thigh Master made millions of dollars off of that little spring loaded thing. So I mean, yeah, you can't knock them. I mean, I think it's funny because it was a time like that was a time, like
Gazelle glider.
and they made good money. I remember at one point I was in my early 20s going, I got to invent something like that because I was like, man, you make something like that and it sells and you sell it to a big company and you just make millions, like
and ride off into the
and
sunset
just be
with
like,
your
yeah, like
millions.
give me my $3 million or whatever, $5 million, I'm good, like whatever, you know what I mean? I don't know. At the time, I was like, I got to come up with something, but it's hard. It's
Selling
hard to come up.
exercise equipment at fucking 3 a.m.
Yeah, I know at 3 a.m.
on the
yeah.
infomercials.
Infomercial, and
Yeah.
if you buy
Infomercials,
now,
yeah.
you get a free set of kitchen knives.
God.
Yeah.
Well, because well, it was funny, right? How cable TV, even like back then, certain like cable TV, it was infomercials after a certain time.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shut off the TV, but they would just have infomercials playing the whole night. Unless you were watching like HBO and stuff, right? Premium channels. But if you're watching regular cable channels, yeah, it was infomercials. Like, and you just sit there. It's funny that we all watch them though. You would sit and watch the whole
Late
thing.
night. I think I need that. I need that
Those
kitchen set.
the knives, those ginsu, the
Ginsu.
ginsu knives,
ShamWow.
as seen on TV. The as seen on TV thing.
Oh,
Oh,
frick.
ShamWow, yeah, that was a big one. Or the Foreman Grill, man. I got
Foreman
sold.
Grill.
Foreman
I got
killed it.
suckered on that.
Everybody did. No, and I think we all, because that was so weird to me to think it was the 90s, and that was like the first time where we had skillets. Like skillets was around,
Yeah, it's the same shit.
but it was basically, it was just like a
But it
smaller
was
version,
George
and
Foreman's.
it closed down. But it was basically just a hot plate.
But you could do it in the barracks though.
Well, no, you could do it in barracks. I mean, they had the smaller, the medium size, the big one. You could get small and you could cook like 2 chicken breasts in there and just and fast and be done with it. It was like 10 minutes. But I remember they used to get hard though. Like I didn't want to keep it closed too long because it would harden the top of it, chicken.
Yeah.
It would dry it out. Like you have to be
cleaning it
really,
after was
yeah,
a
you have to
pain.
really, cleaning was the worst. You have the little scraper and then you can take the tops off though, throw it in the sink. So I used to just soak it.
For you guys
Yeah.
that live in the barracks, I don't know if I get in trouble for saying this, but after they do barracks inspections, just put a shower cap over your smoke detector and fire up that Foreman grill and cook all your
Holy
food. We used to
shit.
get the turkey burgers that
Yeah.
were already pre-made. And once the BPOs did their inspections, we'd put a shower cap on the smoke detector and
Oh.
open the windows because they would keep it from going off. and we just fry all their stuff up because we only had like a mini fridge and shit in there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it was a mini fridge.
So we would keep the Foreman grill in our lock drawer, A and B drawer that they couldn't get into.
Mm.
And when they did inspections, we'd put the shower cap on, open the windows. We'd have fucking just cook all of our stuff. That's how we got away with it.
I used to do
That's
I
great.
do a lot of tuna, boiled eggs, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to cook, yeah. Well, I just go to a chow hall and get the meat
Yeah,
over
I
there,
was
but
lazy. I just
I
went to
was
the
too
chow hall.
fat.
yeah, I just get like the meat there, but whatever. It wasn't always the best meat, but it just depends on what you were doing, yeah, how strict you were going. So I don't know.
Okay, back to the whole. I do have a question for the both of you. Back to the lifting thing. Mark, I believe it was what, a decade since you competed now.
Oh yeah.
You ever feel you want to get back on stage, knowing what you know now, just to do?
Like sometimes in my head I think about it, like, but then I don't know, like I think part of it is one, it would be pretty painful, with just the different things, my body, different little injuries that I've had. I know it would kind of suck to try to get to that point. Like it wouldn't be that enjoyable, I don't think. I know I could do it. And then the other thing is I don't know. Like I don't know how I would look, I don't know if I would be happy with the look with that look because it's, now I'm older, my body's
Mhm.
changed. I don't even know if I would be very happy with that.
Right.
Um and again, and also the other part is I don't know if it's worth the sacrifice for me. Like, I'm like, because for me to like get to that level, that's going to take a certain amount of work, and I'm going to have to diet, and I can just look good and not really try that hard, right? Just do some simple workouts every week, eat decent, and I look good. Like, okay, but to look competitive, to be competitive, I have to go beyond that, and I'm just like, I don't know if that's even worth it for me. Like, so that always stops me from thinking beyond it, like comes in my head for a minute. I'm just like, is it worth it? I don't think so.
I can see from your perspective where, in your prime, you have this image in your head of what you used to look like,
Yeah.
and to be like, man, I'm not ever gonna. I'm old now. I got injuries, yada yada.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not going to look the
it's
same.
not gonna look the same. Will you be disappointed in it, or
Right.
you trying to hold? Or there's the other side where you're trying to hold on to every last thread and still maintain to continue to compete hand over fist until you reach this coveted goal.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, man, whatever floats your boat.
Right.
I mean, if that's what you want to do, I don't know. I mean, I don't, again, that goal, yeah, for me to do it, it would have to be pretty important for me. Like I would really have to want to do it, to put myself through that. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty satisfied with how I look right now.
Okay.
And it doesn't, I could tighten up pretty fast, just do some cardio and a little bit, a few weeks, and I could kind of get even tighter because I don't really let myself go too much. So
Right.
I eat pretty good. I still exercise, so my body kind of stays the same. So yeah. So in order for me to get down though, I know what it takes. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, man, I don't know if I want to suffer.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to suffer anymore. Like I just don't really feel like it. So sometimes I like it. Like I think, oh man, I would like the look again, like to
Yeah.
get lean like that. I'd be like, that would be pretty cool, but then I'm just like, but I just don't think I want to suffer.
Okay.
Like,
Fair enough.
yeah.
Jed, you said you had one more in the tank.
So, considering what we just talked about before this podcast, I still want to, but I know I'm going to have to do it a different way. And I've got the idea how I want to do it. One, I don't know if it's because I still think I have to prove something because the last one I did really good up until the last minute and I just fucked it up last minute. Or another part of me thinks that if I do it this different way, I'm going to figure something out that maybe a lot of people don't know, and I can use that to help other people that may be in my situation. So I do want to do it. I mean, I already eat like it, and I stay. I don't get fat anymore, so I know it'd be a little bit easier this time. But I just there's some stuff I want to try. Like I'm not done. I mean, now am I going to put my health at risk and do the stupid shit I used to? No. But I can be smart about it and do another one next year. Sam, I'm not I'm not over it yet.
Mm.
You know, well, if I was, I wouldn't be bringing my fucking food with me every day and eating it and shit. I mean, you see me, I'm in there, eat the same shit every day, and I
Yeah.
adjust it according to how I look and how I weigh, and I
Well, I
still
just
write down
thought
my stats every
I
day.
just thought part of that was just that's your routine that you like to
Well,
keep.
it also keeps me out of because if I don't, then I go extreme the other way, and I get fat and get out of control, and I eat out all the time, and I get irresponsible. So that's another reason why I do it. But yeah, I at least want to do one more to see if this other way will work. So
Mm.
yeah,
That makes
That's fair
sense.
I'm
enough.
not
So
done.
like you feel like you're good. You are okay with hanging it up. Just to look good is good enough for you.
Yeah, yeah. Like just to I'm not saying look good. I mean, but yeah, feel comfortable in this body, like feel like I can do what I want to do. I can move the way I want to move, you know, and just yeah, and just be okay with that, like I don't think I need to get on stage and do all that, Not to say that that's not something that will never ever happen again, like because you just never know, but I just don't really have that desire. And so, if you don't have that desire, it's really going to be hard, right?
Yeah. Well,
Really hard to
the
stick to your
reason why
diet.
I ask with for somebody as seasoned as you, Mark, um, you have so much knowledge and you've experienced so many different things, and to put all of that to, you know, balled up in one and see if you
Yeah.
could get back on stage again. I mean, that's never been a thought or desire.
It's just I just don't want to I just don't want to suffer like that.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
dieting, right? It's
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's the
yeah.
diet. Like the training, hey, no worries. It's the diet. I just like because it was so many years I was restricting myself as far as just being on a structured eating plan. And now it's been years since I've been on that plan. And it's nice. It's nice
Mm-hmm.
not worrying about it, having to think about it all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's nice. I like that freedom.
Yeah.
And for me to think, oh man, I got to go back on that and follow that and stick to it. I'm just like, it doesn't really excite me. It doesn't excite me at all. It makes me just feel like, man, no, I'm good. I don't want to.
My younger me, I kind of was enthused with that suffering a little bit.
Yeah.
This is like, you have to get into your
Yeah.
head to
Yeah.
get into the game. I used to think like, heck yeah, I'm suffering. That's one more suffering closer to freaking being shredded or like,
Right. Yeah. Oh,
just
yeah.
crazy. And
Yeah.
it's
I used
like,
to
yeah,
think that.
there's
Yeah.
suffering.
Yeah.
That's and people would try to tempt me with food and be like, so good. And I would tell them
Right.
like, well, that's why you look like that and I look like this, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And that person was probably really happy too.
Yeah, now, yeah.
I know, but yeah, it's all good. Yeah. I know what it takes. And that's the thing, having the knowledge is cool, but I got to do all the work, right? So
Yeah,
I have to put myself through it. And I'm like, it's not really worth it for me to do that.
yeah.
I don't know. Again, who knows? Maybe there's one day where I might be like, yeah, let me do it. I'm there,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
mentally there. You never know. But I mean, they do have a over 60, so I'm not there yet. I'm not 60 yet, far from it. But they do have that. I could always get in one of those.
For both of you being former competitors, speaking of competing, was that part of your guys your drive was being like, heck yeah, I'm going up there against like say the best of Hawaii or the best at nationals. I'm gonna be amongst and I'm gonna be competing amongst the best at whatever level caliber where
Yeah.
you're at, or were you just like, frick it, I just need to qualify or I just need to go, I'm so just gonna compete whether or not there's competition, or you love the competition?
Yeah. I don't know. I remember like I used to see like, oh, who was doing the show and stuff like that. But I was kind of really so focused on how I was going to look. I remember just really, really like so concerned on how am I going to look? How am I looking at the show? What else do I have to work on to get myself better? Like I remember being so focused on that the competitors was kind of a secondary thing until I went to the show, and then it was like, oh, that guy's there, or this guy. When I was there, then I remember being like, oh wow, these guys are in the show, when I was at the show. But before the show, I wasn't really thinking about it too much. I was just so focused on like making sure that I could look my best because I didn't know who was going to do it most of the time. And then when I went there, it was like, oh, who's there? Like, oh, okay, now I'm seeing who's there.
What about you, Jed?
Hold on a second. Yeah, I like the competition. That's why I do it. And I kept doing it because I kept getting tired of getting beat. So I keep thinking, what am I not doing? So I keep trying it until I do better. It's not. I'm not knocking people that say, oh, I beat myself. I did better. Cool. But I'm trying to be other people. I mean, I can wake up and not be as shitty as yesterday and beat myself. I mean, let's fucking do something a little more. So I just got tired of getting my ass beat. So I just kept doing it. And I didn't want to quit. And so I do like the competition aspect because I don't think if it was there, I wouldn't do it. I mean, if it was just, it'd be fucking boring.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean was like it would be boring, but I was competing like for myself, I guess more.
Yeah.
Like I was
And
trying to improve myself a lot more. And
we
that
had different
was
conversations with other guests saying, like, had they, first of all, competing, they want to know that they're up against competition and they want to compete amongst the best, like top tier, just say pro level. You want to compete against like the
oh,
top
I know
tier
what you're saying.
pros,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like,
yeah. Right.
the bottom of the barrel,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
as far as people showing up to the show, I mean, I personally, I I like that aspect. It made me, I had this thing in my head talking about getting into your own game where I used to think, if I'm not training, the other girl is. If I'm not training hard enough, the other person, my competitor, is.
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
I would take rest days into account as well too. I mean, so it's not to say I was one of those team no sleep people. No, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
I took everything just as serious, one of the other, from rest recovery, massage, uh acupuncture, chiropractic care, and you name it. I probably tried it or done it to see how can I optimize myself, the
Mm,
complete biohacking to be the best competitor I can be.
hmm.
So that was my perspective.
Yeah, no, it's good. Guess whatever drives you, I mean, everybody's
Yeah.
got their motivators. So
Whatever works. Whatever works.
yeah, I was always just trying to like I remember just always being like, oh man, how can I get even tighter this time? I just gotta get leaner, gotta come in even this much harder. Like I remember that was always the thing, like every show was next show, next show. Even better, even better, even better. So I was always concerned about that more, I think, than who was gonna be there.
That was probably one of
Yeah.
my bigger of the things as well too. Every show there was a substantial improvement,
Yeah.
you know, and people might have the perception of like, you are your own competition. Yeah, yeah, sure. It's, you're
It's true.
yeah.
I get that. There's an aspect to that, but sometimes I think people will just use it as an excuse to explain why they didn't do as good as they could. That's why I get pissed about it. When people talk about, it's a battle against myself, or they post their photo like, "Well, I did better than last time." Like, you still fucking lost, dude. You still lost. And maybe if you'd have tried to beat that other guy, you would have done even better than if you were trying to beat yourself. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's
I'm
a
not
good point.
knocking it, but if you're in a contest, you got to be trying to beat some other people. The only person that should be trying to beat themselves is the guy who won it the last time.
Well, when I get on stage, I'm competitive. I bring everything I got. That when I'm on stage, I'm trying to win. So
No one takes the
when
spotlight
I'm
from Mark.
fuck yeah, dude. When I'm there on stage, yeah, I'm very competitive on like when I'm there. Oh yeah, like that's what it's about, right? I
Yeah.
showed up, but the journey there is I'm trying to bring the best physique that I can. You know what I mean? And then when I get there, it's like, okay, well now we're gonna go on stage. We're gonna compete. I gotta have that charisma, that showmanship, and really present, display this physique out there, Some people like to call it package,
I hate that word.
I've never, I want to bring better package next time. I always think of something else when they say package.
What do you think
If
of,
you know-
Mark?
It's all I'm always like, you want to bring a better package? Okay. I don't know. I don't use the word package.
I think a good topic for another when we have time would be to talk about these generic fucking terms that people use,
Yeah.
like bulking and cutting and package and tissue. I got when everybody got into talking about building tissue, and it's because they didn't want to say muscle.
Tone.
And it's like, dude, I don't get under a squat rack and squat 400 pounds to build fucking tissue. I'm trying to build muscle. Like, let's get it right.
Tissue.
I
see,
hate when
yeah.
people use that word. It's
Yeah.
tissue is for crying when your dog dies or something. It's not.
Tissue.
I just don't. People just try to find a new
Kleenex,
word to make a
yeah.
trend. It's ridiculous.
That's funny. Tissue. Kleenex tissue.
I don't know. As far as bodybuilding and personal history and experience, I think that was a wrap, huh? What time is it?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's been a good hour. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's getting hot as
That was a
shit.
good one. I know. We're dying.
I mean, I'm
This
sweating
is
like
the
crazy.
sauna podcast. You guys can't tell, but
Sauna podcast.
we're sweating.
Detox podcast.
Yeah, for real. Well, anyway, that was a good episode. Stay tuned next week where we may or may not have a guest. It's possible.
That is
We'll
a
see.
question.
We'll see who wants to come on Paradise Home. Aloha, guys.